What's up, all? Sorry for that weird light behind me. I'll keep it up here. I'm just going to talk a little bit. This is going to go out to the crypto folks. Probably my last um, real, I guess, heartened specific email with pics um, and message to, take action and why for now under this this format, and then make this public. We'll see. Definitely sending it to the elite members, that gold investment letter as well. But those of you that are here and that are still paying attention regarding just this crypto space, I want to tell you something. And probably not very many of you will listen, and this is what gave me a pause back in 2020 and 2021 with engaging so much with my subscribers about this topic with crypto, because it was very, very frustrating. Uh, Seeing what I saw coming, knowing it, feeling it with a deep conviction, and trying my best to relay that over and over and over as best I could to people that look for my opinion, trust my opinion, pay me for my research, even free people that have just been around. Um, you know, I I'm a pretty good salesman when I want to be. I just generally talk about my my own authentic beliefs, and I think sometimes that enthusiasm certainly does the most convincing when it comes through. So I know it's not that I was giving, boring, stupid, half-assed, maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down messages. I was so clear and I was so, vocal for a long time, and just so many people that waited until after we were running. The problem that most people don't understand, and you have to be reminded of this, is that uh, when things start ripping in crypto, you can't even get on your accounts like to buy shit. Coinbase, for example, always crashes. And if you're looking to put a new account in place, good luck, trying to get that approved. Good luck, trying to get that approved and get your money over into an exchange during a real huge run. Okay. So you have preparation, preparing for these things. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put this thing down and you're going to have to look at that a little bit more. Um, but you know, the preparation you should take is imperative if you believe in the future of this thing. And what I'm telling you right now, okay, the same thing I said for years and ramped up, before this market, in 2020 started to rocket. And, we had chances to buy this thing. Bitcoin, let's just use that as an example. Um, we were in a bear market, a very bad bear market, a brutal bear market. And this is the sixth, seventh one that we're in right now, where Bitcoin had gone down by, over 75% or more at one point. And I believe the last one that was down 87% at its peak. I'm not sure what the peak has been so far in this one, maybe not quite as much, but that is very typical. It's a boom bust cycle. It tends to run in concert with anticipation of the next halving event. And Litecoin is a great example of what's going on there and why I recommended it recently. Around 70 or even less, because I took a big position, a new position, because Litecoin is having in August, and Bitcoin's having is not for another until 2024. But usually Bitcoin gets going well before that time frame. So we've had a tremendous amount of bad news out. Can it get any worse? I actually doubt it, because there's things on the table that everybody's worried about with Digital Currency Group and Genesis, and insolvent, and have a little bit of forced selling. But if you're talking about a market and the situations that occurred since November with FTX, all the FUD, all the fear around Binance and all this other stuff, which is not going anywhere, okay, just so you know. Um, it's all bullshit. Binance, you don't need to worry about, I don't believe at all. I'm not. And we're Americans, can't even get on there anyway. But in any event, Bitcoin stopped going down. Crypto has stopped going down. We've been sitting in the high 16,000s in the face of continued bad news and continued, sentiment that's been very, very bad. I think we're about there, guys. I think we're about at the end of the bear market. Uh, if we're not there, we're very close. And you need to be a buyer if you want to make a lot of money in the future. The way that I made money is the way that I changed my approach from my entire career. And I've had a lot of big ups and a lot of big downs. The difference, was that I consistently and systematically, after Bitcoin had gone below 8,000, so in the 7,000s in 2018, after the blow off top, I said, once it gets under 8, I'm going to auto purchase and accumulate every single week, every single month, a new position, a certain amount of money that I knew I could sustain for years if was needed, and just build a position. Anytime that I had a big influx of cash, went into crypto, especially the lower that it was. Anytime crypto crashed hard, I found cash and I put it, and I had cash set aside and I put it to work. And I did this as a discipline. And the main time that this really happened also was having cash ready in March of 2020. That was a scary, scary time. We're talking about COVID. The markets were looking like, it's the end of the world. My brokerage accounts were destroyed. Everybody was puking in their cereal. And I came out with buy. I bought. I bought all the altcoins in small increments, like I've been doing, in chunks. With those more risky, smaller ones, I did it in like every quarter, not every week or every month, or whenever I had some cash and I was buying. In some cases, it was $800, $1,000, $1,200 at a time. Things like Theta and Phantom and coins like that ended up making me a tremendous amount of money. I'm talking about 200-300x, okay, on a lot of those positions. You don't need a lot of money to be into those plays, but what you do need to do is you need to be taking action when things look terrible and when nobody else is doing anything. If you don't do that, you're just never going to have really big winners. Okay, so if you're okay with that, fine. But what I'm telling you today is really what I think is some of the most valuable advice and advisory that I can give anybody who listens to me. My timing and approach on the general area in these markets, and calling a lot of bottoms and warnings at the tops, in the vicinity, take profits, things of that nature. I'm good at it. I mean, I'm sorry, but it doesn't mean that I'm always right. And in fact, there's times when I said that I thought that we were probably at a bottom up in the high teens with Bitcoin, but I said if it broke a new low, all bets are off, right? So there was a certain amount of downside. I said I think this is 70 whatever percent of it could be it, and then we had the fallout and the dominoes fall. So you could consider that a wrong call, but I mean, for me, I already knew we were getting close. We needed another really bad capitulation and a lot of events to happen. Could happen again, but it doesn't even matter if you have a viewpoint of the fact that this is eventually, sooner more than later, is going back to new highs. It's going to go in the next cycle to new highs like it has every cycle before, and it hit higher lows at the bottoms. Okay, I mean, if you believe that, the longer and the lower these bear markets go, if you're taking action along the way and not paying attention so much to the price every day or every week, and you're just socking it away, and even if it's modest amounts, this is where you make the millions of dollars, people. It's now. It's the actions you're taking now. If Bitcoin goes to 9,000 as a low, but you've already began having automatic purchases every week or two and doing it at a modest amount, for some people that are, already worth a lot of money. I mean, I'm talking about I have 800 going out every 2 weeks on Cash App. I have 500 every month on PayPal. I have 700 every week or whatever on Coinbase. I mean, I've been adding these weekly things and automatic deductions more and more as we've gotten lower and lower. And I'm just increasing that, knowing, I just deal with what I have in my checking account and I operate off of that, and I know that a lot of it's going out, but it's going out into investments. Same thing with ETH. ETH should outperform Bitcoin, but you should have two staples, those two. You don't have to worry about what they're going to do with execution. But I'll tell you right now, I mean, I am licking my freaking chops. I just put the most money into crypto since the last uh, time in 2020 when I knew and I finally saw the light and I said, this is the biggest opportunity of my lifetime. I think that became pretty clear to me in like June of 2020. And I took any money I could find that I had aside. All the cash went to work. I started to buy. I did not hold back on, getting big positions on that I thought were, more of the mid cap type of deals, and then adding those final pieces to the really small altcoins and topping up on the big money with my ETH, Bitcoin. And my third biggest position is BNB. And BNB has done a lot better than Ether Bitcoin in this pullback in this environment. And it remains a huge position for me. So in any event, and I said that on my special reports to you guys, but bottom line, so this last week or whatever, I mean, even in the last few days, I've been pulling cash, like I have money that had been sitting in, Tether and in USDC, BUSD, and sitting like, in these wallets that I had thrown it, onto storage and DeFi wallets, and just never look at it. It's stored there and it's like cash for a rainy day, but it's there and it's like cash for a rainy day, but it's in like, part of this could be for risk capital if some things become really, really attractive. And then my US dollar, monies, which, I had taken a lot of that crypto money back in the spring and summer of 2021 and fall, and moved that into miners and gold and precious metals, which have now finally, a lot of those have doubled almost off of their bottoms. And I shaved some of that off of, positions that I just went in so deep in like mucks. I had so much of that stock, but I bought a lot more of it in the threes and it's at 7. And I thought to myself, look, I just doubled my money on those purchases in 90 days or 120 days. And I own a load of it. I'm profitable again. That position was down huge, like 60% on paper, I think, or something like that for a while. Anyway, I shaved off about 10 or 15% of that position, which I would consider my swing trade portion of that position. That's just an example. Some of the options that I had bought during this lull recently, very profitable. I have one right now sitting there, with Newmont, it's up 600%. I only put a little bit of money in it, but it's worth like 20 grand now because it's gone up from a few grand. And I'm leaving that one there for a little while because it expires in March and, it's probably going to keep going. And there's leverage there towards the end. I already took money out of one of them with Newmont. And I put a lot of that money back into those miners that are very, very cheap too. I am not done buying there, but I know a lot of you just don't understand crypto. You don't understand it enough to be as comfortable as I am with making, big bets. And, the market's really, it doesn't matter what area it really is in. I mean, this just so happens to be the one, that I think has clearly demonstrated that once it gets going, this just so happens to be the one, that I think has clearly demonstrated that once it gets going in a bull market, it destroys any other asset class, times 10 in terms of returns during that bull cycle. So you don't want to be underinvested. You want to be overinvested. And then you want to be over invested and do what I just did with part of the MUX position that I had. When I came out from under the grave and buried in the grave and continued to chip away at accumulating, bringing my cost average down, I then swing from, maybe it's big losses on paper to profitability. I'm looking for that to continue to triple from here, by the way, like MUX, double, triple. But, look, I had those purchases I made towards the bottom. That's a swing trade that frees up some cash, takes my risk down because I book profits there, and then I have a lower cost average on my overall investment in the stock. It's the same thing with crypto. You want to be heavier while things are lower. I had a conversation via text with someone recently. We were talking about land and these type of things, and the word that was used was things are so unstable. Well, unstable is when you want to be a buyer of things. If it's extremely unstable and it's already been hit extremely hard in terms of price, you want to be in a headspace where you're buying. It doesn't mean you do it all at once, but you should start taking positions. I just loaded the hell up in. I'll tell you a few that I really have gotten super bullish on, and this is because of my homework in the fact that the utility of the technology, okay, is being used like crazy and growing like crazy. There is revenue generation. There's extreme growth that's happening in the spaces and the services of which they operate. Like 1inch, for example. This is a Uniswap DeFi exchange, if you will. It's everywhere. People use 1inch all the time. It's the growth on it is incredible. This is true decentralized finance. You do a transaction and buy or sell. They never hold your assets. This is really going to take another stage of popularity are the DeFi exchange markets, because they just match a buyer and seller, and you tell them what wallet to send it into if you're the buyer, or what to take it out of if you're the seller. And they match two different people, but they never touch the crypto. Okay. So this is exactly what we want in crypto. It's always supposed to have been decentralized instead of centralized. That's what the problem has been with everything in this sector. We've seen this a million times in banking. Over levered, blow shit up with customer money, fraud. I mean, it happens everywhere. This industry is very young, and people got greedy and stupid, and it's no different. Okay. That leverage, though, has become unwound significantly in the space. And that's what we have to wait for it fully to be done to see a full sustained new bull cycle. But 1inch is one. And this thing is down 85%, 90% from its high still. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what I'm looking at. Behind the scenes, this thing has been utilized and grown in terms of users. The revenues are down from the bull because there's just not as much transactions, and it's a market, it's a broker, if you will, and those are going to skyrocket again. 1inch is here to stay. They're not going anywhere. It's a beautiful technology. Synthetics, which is a foundational technology, okay, that is generating a lot of revenues with some of their new layers and launches. This is another DeFi sort of application, but one that's a foundational application, and it's powering a lot of the DeFi areas. I love synthetics. It's hit like a buck 30 something recently. It's 170 now. I loaded up. I found money from anywhere that I could. I have a substantial position now, substantial new position. I still had synthetics on the books that I never sold at 20 or 18 or whatever, or wherever it was went in the last one. I did make a tremendous amount on some of the stuff that I sold, but I always held a portion of the ones that I liked the best in the bull cycle. So I re-upped on 1inch. I re-upped on synthetics. I just today in the threes, like it's up 10% today, but I said, and I've been, adding to this, but Filecoin under $5 is ridiculous. These guys store 1% of all of the data in the world already. They raised $200 million in 2017 in 30 minutes because their technology of data storage is so revolutionary. And this thing is at its lows. Hello, hello, buy it and just quit worrying about where it goes next week or what fucking Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of the crypto thing and what is going to happen to Sam Bankman Fried, and his dad and, all the corruption and all this shit. Who cares? Just forget about it. If you buy Filecoin here, if you buy 1inch here, if you buy synthetics here, I'll give you one last one. I have more, but who knows? You guys won't even, most of you won't even watch this, or you'll watch it once and then you won't take any action. And that's fine. But there are some of you that I think will. And if you do, you're going to make a shitload of money along with me again. Okay. Again. I have my finger on the pulse despite being out of the mix and my health and everything else. It was actually nice to be in a coma and not look at all this crap every day because it was a bad market and it got worse. But the reason I made the most money that I made in my life on the last crypto bull run was because of the actions that I took during 2018 and 19 for about an 18-month period of time. And I just bought as things got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, because at that time I was learning and absorbing and understanding just how big, just getting a glimpse of how big that this is going to be and how many different applications of things are beyond a cryptocurrency that are changing the entire system. And that is not going away. That is, if anything else, much more evident today than it was in 2018 and 19, when I was taking my first big position in crypto and doing it, taking a lot of risk compared to what I had for a net worth. And I'm doing it again. And, I've not neglected my main area, which is, precious metals and miners and commodity stocks. That stuff is so exciting to me because we're so early in a bull cycle there too. But if you look at my net worth, I mean, it's like 80% of it. My net worth, I mean, it's like 80% of it is in those two areas. Okay. So I don't, it's like crypto became the majority of my net worth, meaning it was like 60, 70%, 70% of it at, the top of the crypto, because it was a lot. I mean, it went up so much. And then, when it's going down, I think gold and the miners and all those things, retook the 50% mark. But in the future, I mean, who knows? It's going to go up and down. I don't care. I think they're both going to go up and it's all going to grow. But some of these names, and another one is Looks Rare. Okay. Looks Rare is, it's an NFT platform, and it's highly profitable, spitting out, like well over $100 million a year in revenue. People are using it. They're using it during the bear market. They're spending money. They're paying fees. It's growing. This thing is at like 15 cents. You can look at some of these, just look at coinmarketcap.com and go look at the ones I just mentioned, SNX, 1inch, Filecoin, Looks Rare. Go pull up the all on the chart and just see what their previous high was and where they are today. And, you're just not going to, what are you going to get? Like, I mean, they're 90% off. 80 to 92% off their highs. Like, how much lower are they going to go? You're not going to get buying opportunities like this possibly ever again. And I think looking at it that way versus the fact that things are unstable in the world, I've come out with my biggest calls about bottoms when things were not only the most unstable, but they were the scariest times, when you have your, stomach in your throat in your stomach, whatever it is, and you're scared to death. I just, those are the things that I need to see to be able to have confidence that I'm buying close to lows. And if you want to make the big, huge returns, you simply have to do stuff in this type of a market. If you don't, listen, all of you will be back and buying and putting money and capital to work at a riskier price than today, in the future after the market is going up and it's going up so much you cannot resist getting back into the mix. That is what is going to happen with hundreds of millions of people around the world that, talk about the Fed and everything else. Look, the Fed is probably going to pause very soon. And I mean, look at, this is an environment where, looking ahead, markets in general, they look 6 months, 9 months, whatever the exact number is, I don't know, ahead into the future. And that's how they act. They don't act on today or on yesterday's news. So they know, the market knows, equities knows, bonds know, all these things, crypto, they know, especially a high risk asset like this that leads the risk charge, that's gotten whacked the most, is going to look ahead and start to recover well before you see a sign that the Fed is going to have inflation running back towards, 3, 4, 5% annualized, and it's coming down, and then they can basically get back to quantitative easing and universal basic income conversations, okay? Because that's got to happen. And if you're looking at a time horizon of a few weeks or a few months or even a couple of years, you know, couple of years, look, it's not that long. It goes right past us like this. But if it takes 1 to say 4 years to make 50 or 100 times